Well, the administration pushing ahead with plans to deploy the National Guard along the U.S. border. Ronald Vitello is acting Deputy Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, where he has served since 1985, amazingly, considering how young you look. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to ask you a kind of negative relief question. You're hearing increasingly calls to eliminate federal border enforcement. What would happen if we did that?
The border's a dangerous place. People are coming up from all over the world through Mexico and other places, and you would have a much different situation in these big border cities if the Border Patrol wasn't there, if the state, local, federal law enforcement wasn't there protecting people.
So there's been a debate in the last couple of days over the degree to which the government of Mexico helps the United States control the flow over its borders. You heard calls in the Mexican legislature yesterday to stop all cooperation on border questions with the United States. If that happened, what would our borders look like?
We have a strong relationship with operators and individuals, both at the political, the strategic, and the tactical level with Mexico. It's essential for us to share with them specific information. It's essential for them to tell us what's going on, what they're seeing. They do provide services for us on their southwest border, yes, on their southern border, and that's important. It's been important over these last several years.
Is this caravan that we've been reading about still on its way? Are members of it still coming? Do we know the answer?
The latest we're hearing is that it's being dispersed for lots of different reasons. People are choosing to take their own path. Mexico is helping settle some of those folks, and they have repatriated a number of them.
So apprehensions at the border are higher than they were last year. Why is that?
From March this year versus March last year, over 200%. What we're seeing is loopholes in current law and policies that exist now in the United States are actually encouraging people to come as families or unaccompanied minors to the border. There's also an economic the economy's better in the states,
right?
And so people are coming for that reason also. But because of these policies and the way the law is constructed, lots of people are coming as part of a family or as a minor, and they're being released into the United States. That encourages more people to take that dangerous journey. That's why we're trying to do everything we can to put our plans in place. That's why this new capacity coming our way we're looking forward to that.
Let's say someone comes from Central America, takes the beast across Mexico from Honduras, for example, and makes it to the Tijuana border crossing. What happens then? Can that person be sent back? Is he brought in, processed? Where does it go?
So when they present themselves to an immigration officer, either at the port or between the ports where the Border Patrol works, they're taken into custody. They're afforded their rights under the administrative process to have a removal hearing, to have an administrative judge decide whether they can stay in the United States or not. But because they're from a non-contiguous country, Honduras is quite a ways away, while they're set up for that hearing, oftentimes they will claim asylum, fear to return back to Honduras. And so they're released under that condition that they'll come later to a deportation hearing. And the show rates for those hearings is very, very low.
I bet it is.
And so you have this cycle that's in the law, these loopholes, people are exploiting that, smugglers are exploiting that, criminal cartels are taking advantage of that and using it to raise funds on that journey. They're smuggling these folks.
The honor system doesn't work on Halloween, and it doesn't work on the border, I would say. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Harmeet Dillon is a civil rights attorney in the state of California, and she joins us tonight. Harmeet, you've been involved in a number of suits with the state over immigration-related questions. I want to ask you about driver's licenses. 1 million of them now issued to people in California illegally. California politicians are bragging about this as if it's an achievement. What's the purpose of this?
Well, the purpose of it, Tucker, is to respond to a lawsuit that was filed in Southern California a couple of years ago, and the settlement of that lawsuit led to this law. And the idea by the proponents of this is that if people have driver's licenses, then we have some information about them. They have to pass the same type of a test as other drivers, and they have to get insurance, et cetera. But in reality, what you have is, I mean, these are people who are self-identifying, and number one thing they have to prove or state on the application is that, hi, I'm not here in the country legally. And so that's the premise. And then you have to think about everything that flows from their interactions with the DMV flowing from that premise. I've already broken some laws. I'm here illegally. I'd like some benefits from you. And as we all know, that's a slippery slope. Eventually, they're going to be asking for more benefits, and they're getting them in California.
So I don't think any politician on either side does anything unless it's part of a larger plan. I mean, there's a purpose to this. What's the purpose to this? It's not about driver safety.
Absolutely. Right. Well, the goal of the Democrats who are pushing this is obviously to get votes. That's number one. and they're going to have a built-in voting bank if they succeed in giving more and more benefits to aliens, illegal aliens in our state. And, what was interesting to see in the recent discussion about DACA is that when the president offered a path to citizenship that was 10 years or 12 years away, all of a sudden Democrats lost interest. I think that they're very interested in harvesting this bank of voters for the immediate future, and they're not interested in any compromises. And, as a Republican, frankly, I don't love the idea of any folks here who are here illegally getting citizenship. I can see some rationales for some people having some sort of a worker's status or what have you. But that's really the agenda here. And, the agenda is permeating to every level. In the UC system, for example, we are seeing illegal aliens being granted a reprieve from a $1,000 tuition increase. So if you're an out-of-state student who comes here and pays an exorbitant fee to attend UC Berkeley, you have to pay $1,000 extra. If you're an illegal alien, you don't. So that's an equal protection issue as well. And, who thinks that the DMV is going to be doing a great job of maintaining the sanctity of our voting rolls? That's another thing that's happening, is that we're having automatic voter registration through the DMV. And all you have to do there is simply say, I'm a citizen. It's an honor test. It's an honor test being presented to a population, 7% of which are admittedly here illegally.
Well, that's exactly right. Right. And the whole point of it is to abet voter fraud, obviously. Thank you. Harmeet Dillon, great to see you.
My pleasure.
The state of New York is now pressuring credit card issuers to block users from buying guns or ammunition. Could corporate America collude to eliminate the Second Amendment? Well, of course, they are doing that, and we've got details for you. Mark Stein joins us next.